back to another episode of the Twistedtubz podcast. I am your host, Stephen Tuberty, aka Twistedtubz, and look who's back. It's Tim Hourigan. Tim Hourigan's Music. Welcome back, Tim, for another episode of Dance with the Tubs. So,
thanks for
the
having me.
last time I had you on the show, we talked about your origin story. We talked about your new journey, your Tim Hourigan's Music, and all your Spotify's and everything. We linked kind of where you could find them. You could tell the audience where you could find your music, and they listened because, your job, But we went through the thing, and we went through all of kind of the journeys and stuff. But I think tonight we should deep dive more into the friendship and the journey of Twistedtubz and Tim Hourigan. Yeah, why not, man? Nobody else wants to know.
Absolutely.
We want to talk about it. That's the problem, But so I think let's just dive right in, and I'll open it up with a question. Because on the last show, we talked about our movies. We talked about, just collaborations and music. And a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
I think someone's getting food.
And
that's pretty cool.
me and
Just
Tim
like
Howard.
in there.
Oh, yeah. Did you like that? Look at this. Oh, listen. He's missing Mando. And
That's it. He's still looking for attention.
Baby Yoda's gone a bit rogue on us. But yeah, so back in the day, in a galaxy far, far away, me and Tim Hourigan used to wrestle. Which is crazy when you think about it, Older now, so we probably can't do it, but, never too old to try old tricks, my friend. I'd love to get back in the ring, Tim. How about you?
I'm currently having a conversation with you with a bad back and a swollen ankle. So it's all.
Want to hear a funny story?
Your
Before I came on this episode, I had to take a painkiller and a massive jug of water because I bent over to pick something up, and I could feel my back go like that. Oh, Jesus! What about professional, man? Right? Instead of ringing Tim, going, Tim, I can't do the podcast tonight. I'm going no, I got to power through and got to talk about stuff because fucking yeah. What am I talking about? Wrestling. Yes. Raw, big strong man. But yeah, so I think the question is.
20 years ago. 20 years ago.
I'll tell you now. The origins of the wrestling when it began were in the 2000s, late early 2001, which was this match with me and Philip O'Connor in my mother's house, and that's where it started, in a house, and then about 3 years later it ended up. I think we ended up in parks and Killaloo and going through tables, and then there was 12 or 15 of us all running storylines and character arcs and watching tapes for rehearsing stuff. To be fair, I'm not even going to lie to you, audience, right? We took this so serious, and to the point of where when we would have verbal bashes about. Yeah, we this was a big deal for us. When people were out partying on a Sunday night, we were jumping fences and powerbombing, each other through tables, and sometimes thumbtacks on stone. Which I think me and Tim tried that, and we were the only two stupid enough to do it, but we did it, and it's on tape, so we're awesome. But I think the question is because we talked about a lot of creation. With music and characters and film and stuff. The wrestling was also very, for me anyway, I don't know about you, but it was very ingrained in the direction I went in towards film and stuff like that, because I know we were wrestling and we were doing all these crazy moves and finishes and things like that, but we created characters and story arcs and personalities and really brought these characters to life and feuds, because we had Tim's wrestling name, by the way, was Psycho Billy. Mine was S. But it was that we had this running thing where it was you would never beat me one-on-one, and every time we got into a one-on-one match, I would be the victor, and you could see not just you losing, your character was eating your character up, and you had to beat me. and it went on for so long. And that's what I mean about it. We didn't treat it with just like recording it on a camera and then just start doing like backyard moves. For us, it wasn't backyard wrestling. We designed it but we didn't do it in the backyard thing of all weapons and just all spots. It was actually designed matches and stories within the arcs. And so I think the story or the question I have for you is like, what are your memories and what was it like wrestling with me and the other lads in the backyard and on screen? Because we tussled a few times on screen as well.
Yeah, we did actually. You don't get on in front of cameras, do we? This is why we have to zoom.
We're being recorded, so we're probably going to fight now. Come on.
Well, give me what you got, sonny boy. But no, look, at the end of the day, it was more content creation, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
It was very much so.
We started really developing these kind of personas, these characters, and running with them. And we did it regularly. I think it was every Sunday we used to do it. It got so big, it was crazy. It got so big. I remember a day where we had this thing talked about where it was you and Johnny.
We lost you there a second, did we?
Oh, have you got me? Yeah.
Let's settle. Yeah, you're back.
And action.
There we go. We're going to take two. Go get it.
What was I saying? Yeah, so we put a lot of time into creating these characters and these stories and doing all these matches. But I think what happened, and it kind of kept steamrolling, was we started teasing your character Ace with Ace versus Johnny Flash, and it was going on for a while, if you remember. And man, it was so long ago, but I just remember a small group of our friends coming over to see, can we see it? Can we see it? Because that was the one that we're all waiting for, And man, we really did a full day on that day, and we got everyone over, and it's fun, it's ridiculous as it sounds. It was fun back in the day because it was a way for us to, mess around as kids, because at the end of the day we were, and we had friends coming over and we'd be goofing around and the whole lot. But we did a lot of weird stuff in our youth, but that was at least fun. But again, that was, it's part of what you're doing now, isn't it? You had these characters and there was story and we were shooting it, we were creating content. So essentially that's kind of like the seed in which all of us kind of grew from,
Yeah, of course.
Just in our own small group, you're in films, Dara's in music, I'm in music.
Mark acts as well,
So it stems a lot for a lot of different people. So
and
that was kind of the framework for all of us, I think,
But I do think it does have a lot to do with the groups of people that you are around as well. You know what I mean? Like-minded people, creative people. Test it. Like if you're a creative person, your friends are kind of not so much like in the lane you're in, but if they're all kind of creatively driven as well, it tends to keep pushing you to be that way. And I found that as well with all of our lads. It might not be for film or music or anything else, but like you look at like just all of the lads in general, they all have something that they latch onto and they push forward for,
I have one thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Do you asked what was biggest memory? I have two.
One.
Right, and one of them was, and I have two words for you. Mike Green was one of them. our resident announcer. I had a lot of fun with that one. But there was also the interviews. If you remember, I played the fanboy to Johnny.
Oh man.
So yeah, we were doing a lot of messing around as well, but man, we used to just get up to so much mess acting, and actually, you know what? It's some of the best years if you think about it in hindsight. Because looking back now, you had no care in the world. You were just getting up, you were going to work Monday to Friday, and at the weekends you were hanging out with your friends, and just goofing off and stuff. So at the end of the day, that could be the springboard for where a lot of us were set on our path.
I mean,
myself, Mark, and all that. So
I mean, I know hands down once the wrestling ended. I know for a fact. I mean, um, because I would joke, as you well know, about one more match all the time. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't think I don't, and even to this day, as I know physically, I need to put a whole lot of work in. But I mean, Tim, I'm not even going to lie to you, man. Well, we stopped wrestling in like I mean, look, we stopped full time wrestling in about 2005, six. We stopped doing it completely. I think it was about 2008 when we actually filmed the last match. So there was about about 8 years of actually doing matches. With a catalog of about maybe 150, 160 matches in total between everyone, which is insane when you think about it. But I've never fully gotten rid of that dragon that my mind chases, man. Like if I thought I could physically go back into the ring in the morning, I'm pretty sure I would.
Go ahead, would you?
Yeah,
So
that's how bad it is up there, man, you know?
I would say then to that, not a hope, but secondly, you could catch those characters if you think about it, and you could twist that into a new universe
Yeah,
of a film. You know, because you had your face, you had your heels. Um, if you get a good centerpiece of a story for that, you could have a really cool, almost Netflix Marvel style, webisode thing going on there. Because there was enough lads there, like,
there's enough
um,
character content there as well, you know what I mean, to really kind of just write something and really change that into something. And I suppose that brings me to my other question, because in the last time we spoke, you mentioned like the gaming and stuff, and I'm also a massive gamer as well. So I just let's shoot into it, man. Games and superheroes, because we're massive nerds under the core of creativity, right? We are. Um,
nerds, games, and superheroes are some of my favorite things. So yes, I'm all ears.
Yes. So I mean, like we grew up. Like I mean, like for me, growing up, my fondest memories of gaming, when I was young, was the Super Nintendo. I
Mm.
I ate up every game I could find. Man, I remember I rented, when they used to rent the cartridges in the video stores. I rented Return of the Jedi on Super Nintendo, and I remember I forgot to bring that back for a year. Um, Accidentally
One of
forgot to
those
bring that back for a
seeds
year. Played it the crap out of it. Zombies and My Neighbors, Contra, the obvious ones, Mario and Mario Kart, all those ones. But there's so many games like Bob, Lost Vikings, things like that. Games that people have forgotten about that I because and then you got the SNES minis that are like becoming retro machines now because you can now buy the mini versions. But for you, what was your earliest like? What's the memories of your earliest
Oh,
gaming
oh,
that like
what was it?
absolutely loved? Excuse me.
My my brother had, what was it? Was it an Atari 2600, or it might have been the Commodore? But
Oh,
this thing was
Commodore.
old school. I'd say most of the young audience who are watching this won't have a clue what I'm about to say, but I'll say it.
Put a
Which
tape
was
in and you load it.
a keyboard. Used to have one of these.
That's
Not with the
basically
pretty
the
lights, but
console.
it had a keyboard.
Yeah.
And you used to put a tape in, and you had to hit 18 buttons at the right time, and then it would take 5 hours to load the data off a tape to whatever, and then you could just play this game for like an hour. But that was loading times back then.
Not even now
Um,
that you say that, Tim,
that was
about the
what?
Commodore, yeah. I actually remember the fact
Yeah.
that you said I can actually back this up, right? Because I remember my cousin Dara had a Commodore 64 and he had Terminator 2, and it took about an hour to load the fucking game, and it had about 15 minutes of actual gameplay. I was like, how is the
That's the
loading
thing,
time longer than the actual game? It was mental. But then, obviously, they got pushed aside and the consoles became a thing. But like, because I know that. I've known
That
you
was
years.
Tim,
We
Tim McMahon
PlayStation did
had
up,
the
man.
same one.
The which?
Yeah,
SNES?
when I started, Tim McMahon had the Commodore as well. And I remember calling over to him, like after school or whatever, and he'd just gotten the Super Nintendo, and it was Mario All Stars,
Yeah.
and I was hooked. We were just playing the crap out of it. I mean, we played the absolute shit out of it. And I just remember going, right, I have to get my own one. So I got it for Christmas. I got that. There's Super Mario World and The Legend of Zelda is it Link to the Past?
The top-down one?
Yeah, I was hooked. That was the start of my TLOZ journey. And of course, there's loads of other stuff that I've gotten into as well over the years. Desert Strike was another phenomenal one, And of course, then, your pal might have the Sega, so you get to play the Sonics. Mark had a Dreamcast at one stage, if you remember as well. The Sega Dreamcast, it didn't last too long, but we got an old slap off of that as well, which was good fun. I don't know.
That was Philip O'Connor. Like, Phil was the guy that just. Oh man, Phil, I'm not even joking. Like, if he watches this, leave it in the comments and tell me I'm right. Me and Phil, I think he started with a Super Nintendo. Eventually, I think he got a Mega Drive as well. But then, man, I went straight to like the PlayStation 1. Phil went to like the GameCube, the Dreamcast, the Sega CD. I mean, he became a collector, like the N64. He started collecting consoles, man. And then when he got older, built a massive gaming PC and put every single console that ever existed into that one machine.
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable.
I have a question for you. Would you be a fanboy for one or the other? Would you be Sony or Microsoft? Would you be PlayStation or Xbox? Or would you be like me? I right now in here, I have the SNES Mini in the drawer, and I have an Xbox and I have a PS4 and PC. So I kind of get a taste of everything. Would you be a fanboy for one console?
Like, I'm not. Me and Brian O'Regan always talk about this because I always reference it as the DC Marvel divide. You're either this side or this side.
Yeah.
I've never been that way with stuff, man. I've always I just like what I like. You know what I mean? When it comes to I love Marvel stuff. I love DC more. It's not because Marvel's not as good. It's just I'm a bigger DC fan, but I love both of them. When it comes to consoles, I love the SNES. I played the Mega Drive. I just preferred the games on the SNES. It wasn't the fact that I didn't like it. I never owned an Xbox because when I bought a PlayStation, that was my gaming machine. So I just continue
generations with it.
It's one of those things. It's like phones. I remember I bought like a Huawei phone. Those Huawei's, the new ones. The phones.
Oh,
yeah. So I remember I got I think it was the Huawei P8, and then I got the P9, and then it was the 10, and then it was like the P20, the P30, and I just kept with that brand because I knew the phone. I liked the style, but I think Samsungs are pretty cool. I like other brands, but it's just ones that kind of fall in like that was, and that was PS4 for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like the iPhone. Once you get an iPhone, you never go off the iPhone. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, I know one or two people that are like that. It's just they like the Apple product, so they stay with the Apple product. It's not more. I mean, and it could be, it could be that divide because we've seen it with Star Wars and Star Trek over the years. You either love Star Wars or you hate it. I think I can say I fucking love Star Wars. These 18-inch figures rubbing my face, Tim.
It's like your second Star Wars plug there.
It's always coming with a tripler.
Hey, nice.
These are the 18-inch figures. Look at the size of this, brother.
Wow, that looks pretty sweet. Yep. Nice.
But but going off of games like in general, like out of all like the old ones we spoke about, like games we love, like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and all that. But what's a game? What?
Street Fighter. Just when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, so many days lost to that.
Oh yeah. Can I ask you another question?
Of course.
Why you or Ken?
It has to be Ryu for me.
Oh, that's my boy. Give it some here. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I think the story for him was a lot more attractive than Ken, he just, even like when you watch some of the older animated stuff, like, oh man, the story he had, it was like his journey. You were just hooked on it,
Oh, you mean Jean-Claude Van Damme's not your favorite character?
Oh, he's the man.
He's the man. He was such the man in Street Fighter, the movie.
Oh man, who did he play? He was Guile.
Guile. Like, he wasn't American, didn't have spiky hair, and there's too
couldn't
many. Like, Tim, I'm not even joking. If you ever come back on, we'll just talk about that film for a half an hour because that's a podcast in itself. That movie is just whoa, No, but and the same question goes for Mortal Kombat. Sub-Zero or Scorpion?
Oh, that's another hard one. It's up there. It's got to be get over here. It has to be. Yeah. Oh, but there's too many good ones in that one.
There
In
is.
fact,
I mean, can't we just like them both? Can't we just have a word where we just like them both?
just get along?
Sub-Zero and Scorpion, put them together, and then you have, I don't know, like a turtle with wax coming out of its ears, or
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now you're killing me.
segue, fucking segue, because I was just about to say, dude, cartoons, yes or no? Fan? Are you still watching? Are you still watching cartoons today?
I like watching some of the animated movies and stuff today.
Yeah.
Now, I haven't watched anything in the last few years, but our pal Brian would have recommended a lot of the stuff to us. And obviously, with some of the work that I was researching for that project I spoke of the last time.
Which, would have been.
I watched a lot of reviews and all this kind of stuff, because he would give some links or recommendations and stuff he'd watch. So just diving into that world to get a feel for, its cinematography and how it's paced and the music that goes with it, So, I mean, absolutely. But I mean, the same goes for games, I mean, if you say to someone, oh, I'm a gamer, and you get that old cliche stereotype of, you're just sitting in your room playing Mario, but it's not. I mean, look at the power of consoles. Some of them have the most amazing stories and soundtracks.
Yeah.
They're up there with films. They really are. I mean, off the top of my head, Horizon Zero Dawn, incredible story, beautiful soundtrack. Some of the own Medal of Honors was done by the composer Ramin Djawadi, who did Game of Thrones. Phenomenal soundtrack. Probably one of the best shooting story games I've played, more so than Call of Duty and everything. But I mean, they're up there.
Because I mean, I completely agree with you 100%, because I went out of my way to platinum a game recently. Now I know we're in lockdown and we're in kind of like the pandemic era, so we have a little bit more time at home to do these things. But I don't usually platinum games. I just play games because I enjoy them. But this game, man, I platinumed it, and I put more time and effort into this game than I did in 20 years worth of actual 9-to-5 jobs. Sorry, anyone that employed me for 20 years, but it's true. That game is days gone. Have you played this?
Oh, I heard good things about that. Yeah, some of the lads at work are saying they lost weeks to it.
Oh man, this game, right? When this first came out, it's from Ben Studios. The guys, I think they made Siphon Filter originally. Games I know you like.
Oh man, that's
the best description I can give you is if Sons of Anarchy, The Walking Dead, and 28 Weeks Later had like a baby, and just like
that's right.
Let it kind of fly.
The protagonist is the guy on the bike, right?
Yeah, Deacon St. John. It's such a good game, man. But it's a slow burner of a game. You know what I mean? You don't start off like all jacked up with weapons. You kind of, but it's the story arc. It's the character stories I loved about this game. It was, and the soundtrack is another one. You should check out the soundtrack. It's pretty fucking dope.
Cool.
But it's
nice.
But the element of and the game is unpredictable as well. It's very unpredictable in the world that outside in the open world, because you could be like, have you checked out anything about it with the hordes or anything like? Because in this one it's not zombies, they're freakers.
I haven't played it yet.
They're called freakers, and they run.
No,
or like the 28 weeks later ones, they run. They're fast-paced zombies. Not zombies, but they're mutation. It's like it's like a mutated virus that like started messing with the whole world, messed them all up, and kind of they all started to become like just cannibalistic fucking freakers. But there's hordes in it, man, and they can range from anything like 30 to like 400 or 500. And these things come at you like mental. Oh man, it's like I recommend don't watch anything, because I think it's it's gone down on PlayStation Store now, and everything's like 20 quid, or it's on PlayStation Now if you have that. You can download it if it's on PlayStation Now. It's so worthwhile playing. I genuinely, like, when I started playing it, I was kind of going, okay, but then it's when I killed my first horde, I was going, oh my god, the bloodlust is real. I love this. And I was hooked. hooked me.
Yeah, I think the only thing I saw of that was the trailer. Remember the trailer? He's like fighting his way up through a barn, and he gets to the roof, and the camera just kind of pulls out. I
And
think
they're
that was
there.
the only thing I've actually seen.
That is
And you
called
just
no
see the
spoilers.
whole-
Yeah, no spoilers. That what you saw in that trailer is called the Sawmill. So when you're playing the game, and then I think it's one of the guys from the camps send you to the Sawmill, you're going, she's a cunt.
Well.
That was the one word we said we would never use on this show. Dolphin noises will be coming soon. Don't you worry. Yeah, no, yeah. No, but like I mean, like so. But the pop culture thing, like when you look at, like you just said, we're talking about gaming, we're talking about all this kind of stuff, and it's just like because I found in this, like during this pandemic, and with the kids being at home, it's kind of, it can be pressure cooker situation, man. Do you know what I mean? It can be, when you've got, and like as I said, but you have it from a different angle in because you're working every day. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, you go out into the world. I got to stay at home. It's such a weird thing. So I have found myself jumping back into my childhood a bit, like with the kids, because they would be watching cartoons. But I found I've gone back watching cartoons from my childhood because we've gotten like Disney Plus. So I'm watching Darkwing Duck and I'm watching Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, things like that. But I also got back into it. Like you've known me a long time, right? And you know, and I also, the reason I'm asking this question is because if you look at Tim's profile picture on Facebook, there's a certain symbol there. It's what's the symbol on your Facebook page?
On my personal one or my?
Yeah, but you're just your. It's a logo.
I think. You're talking
about
my personal one.
Yes.
The Batman one, is it?
The Batman, right?
Yeah. The reason for it is, again, probably one of the most incredible trilogies I've ever seen in my life. For me, I know it wouldn't be up there for many people, but
the Dark Knight one.
Chris Nolan's trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that from start to finish is a roller coaster of them. I mean, an incredible story to get them all in. Like, score that would blow your mind up. Right up to the last scene of the third one, I was just like, wow, it was crazy. So yeah. Here's a question for you, actually, on that one. Obviously, mine would be the Batman, hence I have the symbol as my profile. Who would be your top, we'll say, hero, and what would be your favorite, DC or Marvel?
Batman and DC.
Batman and Marvel.
My favorite.
Interesting.
Not even cartoon, not even like superhero cartoon. My favorite cartoon of all time is Batman the Animated Series from the 1990s. The Kevin Conroy Batman and Mark Hamill Joker. I adore. It's got some of the best stories. I mean, you've obviously seen it over the years. You've been mates with me. I probably showed it to you over time. But it's got some of the coolest story arcs. It's like the Dr. Freeze Sub-Zero. It's got the Great Ghost, Mask of the Phantasm. There's just so many good ones there. There's a story in there, like it's when all the villains sit around a poker table talking about the time they nearly got Batman. You know what I mean? And they tell their story. It's just so cool, man. But like, yourself, I mean, I'm a massive Superman fan. One of my favorite superhero films is Man of Steel, even though everyone thinks I'm mental for that, but I fucking love it. Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite superhero movies.
The live action?
I absolutely adore it. Like I'm one of the guys that's like looking forward to like the Snyder Cut Justice League. Like,
I never understood why people wrote that off. I never understood why people wrote that off.
I do get it because it's incredible. It's not. Do you know what it is? It's one of those things where it's like, I want the world to be like it was when I was little. I'm sorry, lads. That was then. This is now. But you know what I mean? It is that thing. It's Christopher Reeve's as Superman. Superman, yourself, even from the comic books, and Superman is supposed to be this thing of hope, and they went with this thing. But as I tried to explain to people, is I loved it because I loved it. I don't have to give more reasons than that. I just fucking did. I enjoyed the shit out of it. It hit me right in the gut and hit me right in the brain.
To give you another perspective, I'll tell you why I loved it. I loved it because of the story. Okay, the most iconic one is obviously Flight, and obviously that music from Zimmer, and it's just those building war toms and the whole lot until he puts his fist down, and and it's beautiful cinematography, and it's accompanied with a real powerful piece of music. But it was also the whole, you didn't make him like this humongous badass straight away. He was the outcast. He was going from town to town, job to job, and it was just a really cool story arc. So I don't know, it's just a lot of people wrote it off before you could appreciate it. Because even now, if you go on YouTube and you watch any section of Man of Steel, look in the comments. There are people down there who just go, "Give it time." People will come around and see that this is an amazing piece, which it is. Like the part where the kid pulls the bus out of the water. I was like, oh man, that's a beautiful nod to some of the old ones.
Because I think when it came out, I think people saw like the amount of destruction and stuff in it, and and all this. But at the same time, I always make the argument is it's like, all right, he's been Superman for a matter of days, hours. In that sense, he hasn't been Superman years. He's a very, green Superman. And then you in Batman versus Superman, you see the fallout of it from the opposite side. Which I'll be honest, I think Ben Affleck as Batman was fantastic, and it was a shocker that people, like were like tried to write that off, because I told people when he was cast, right, and they were like, "Oh, Ben Affleck's going to be terrible as Batman." I was like, "Lads, you do realize Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, right?"
What was that? He was the bomb in Phantom, yo.
The bomb in Phantoms, yo. Kevin Smith, man. Do you know what I mean? Fucking, but but it's just. But I think more so, and I really enjoyed Batman versus Superman for two reasons. I got to see two of my favorite comic books come to life on screen, and that was enough for me, man. I was like, that is my childhood. On screen, I'm happy. I'm happy I spent money on this movie. I enjoyed the time. I didn't rip it apart because sometimes things don't have to be perfect to mean something to you.
You're hitting the nail on the head there. I think you shouldn't go into it with any expectation of it being something. You take it for what it is, And for me, I thought it was amazing. Like that scene where Superman is on top of the Batmobile, and Affleck's Batman rises out and the cape comes up. So it's beautiful cinematography. It just really put the two of them on this huge epic scale of hero versus hero, and it was just like, oh man, what's going to happen next? Like, are they going to go toe to toe? And you don't see that many films, and I think writing it off too early, watch it, let it sit for a while, watch it again, because I'll be honest, I must have gone through the Marvel 20 odd films 4 or 5 times now, and it's still
Exactly.
just what's coming. Still just an amazing experience. And this could be the same with the DC. It's just I think people
what it was.
The DC work at the moment.
On an episode on the show, me and Brian Hourigan, recently we talked about the Marvel universe before it became the MCU.
Yeah.
And it was very much, if you look at that, like you look at the Fantastic Fours and like the Daredevils, Electras, and the earlier movies that were kind of more Fox, like the X-Men movies and things like that were in under that umbrella before Kevin Feige and MCU and Disney kind of like came in and structured a plan. Because nobody can deny it. The MCU as it is now is so fucking good. It's on another level with the way they craft these movies and design them together. But I think the DC's been very hit and miss for a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? Like when Josh Whedon Justice League, because that's what they call it now, because the Justice League that came out already, like that was terrible. That was fucking muck. I hated it. But we are now getting the third chapter of the 2 movies we spoke of. We're getting that third chapter now with the Zack Snyder Justice League in, I think it's March. So we're not too far off at all. And that's 4 hours of story that I think is more or less 90% what we haven't seen. So it's like a brand new movie. But I mean on the lines of like heroes and people flying and just being like just crazy characters. Because we're coming to the end of this show, I felt we could lead into another story. Tim Hourigan, would you like to talk about the first time you ever met me?
Oh wow!
You don't have to go into too much detail, but just joke.
Hide your kids. What that was top apartment John Street, and we were in our 21, I think it was.
Early 20s, man. Yeah.
Probably earlier than that again. Yeah, it was probably just about 2021. And our pal, John, God rest him, was living with Leanne and Stephen. And they were throwing a party, and we all kind of gathered, and you bring your few drinks, and we were hanging out, and music was going. And next thing, I was introduced to your brother first, John, and then I was introduced to you. But I think 5-10 minutes later, you went missing, and someone was like, "Hey, where's Steve?" or whatever. I was like, "Oh, he was here in the hall talking with me a second ago. I'll go out and have a look." And I went out, and there you were in the hall. We were about 6 floors up, looking down between, as the stairs spins around, looking at me, going, "I'm gonna get up on this and do a little Batman." And I remember my response being, "John, he's gonna do something stupid."
Look, I mean, I don't know if it says it about me.
Ball of energy. I don't know where your energy source comes from, but you still have the same energy today as you did when you were.
You know what I think it is? I think now I store it. I think I genuinely do store it because the kids drain my energy so much because they're like versions of me with like more energy, and I'm going, "Oh my God, I can't keep up with them because I'm older now." But yeah, I think I store it for moments like this where I can just go like, "Ah." You know?
How quick you can turn. You see, I don't have that luxury. You know?
But yeah, look, I mean, as I said, tonight we bantered about games, we bantered about superheroes. First time we met each other, and we just wrestling in all different walks of wild life in the open world, as friendships do. Me and Tim have been friends for a very long time, so we've dipped in and out of things, and we've created a lot of good memories together, my son. So yeah, I mean, as I said, thank you for coming back on the show again. I've really enjoyed it. It's like 2 episodes now, and it's a good crack. But I'll make you a deal. If you come back on the show one more time, and it doesn't have to be soon, whenever you have free time and whenever you want to come back on, I will let you choose the topic. And we will banter, and we will banter between each other on the topic. You pick it, we'll talk. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
You got yourself a deal, son.
Thank you very much for coming back on the show. As usual, you have been watching the Twistedtubz podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Tuberty, aka Twistedtubz. He is Tim Hourigan, aka Tim Hourigan's Music. I got it right. And then butchered this time. But on that note, we are going to set off into the dust, and we are going to leave you all with possibly a little treat. Maybe Tim has a musical song that we could hock on the end of this video, maybe.
Oh, a treat, you say?
Yeah, we won't tell you what it is, but Tim's going to let you have a little bit of a listen to one of his tracks right when the credits roll on this some bitch, So look, stop listening to me ramble, because the quicker I get off this, you get to hear some tunes. So look, Tim, on the count of 3, thumbs up in the air. We love you all very much, and we'll see you in the next cartoon.